So excited. You guys remember that? Um, my first video when God told me to get up and follow Jesus and to leave school, I made a video saying that I was so excited. Well, this morning I am very excited because God actually gave me a great word this morning. By using an example of what happened to me at work. So I'm going to give you kind of an update of what's really going on in my following Jesus. So a year ago, God told me to leave college. I've been writing books on following Jesus and His will, your will. Basically, I've been shaping my life and conforming to the will in which it is that God wants for my life. And instead of, having my own vision, having my own path, but doing what it is that God has called me to do in the last year. A part of it, I'm writing a book about saving the family, about the restoration of families. I've been watching as, God had me pray and fast for my family, for the restoration of my family about a year ago. My family is coming back together, slowly but surely, but we've been able to function better as a family than I've ever in my life been able to encounter or see. And so it's been very exciting because what God has said has really come to pass and has come to light. And so, it's very beautiful. But, one of the biggest things that, I really came across was that, I had a lot of, we had a lot of things that should have not, in my life, uh, they were passed on for generation to generation to generation. And what I realized about my life is I probably wouldn't have been as bad as I was if certain seeds did not get passed on for so long. And so because so much was sown into me that was so much corruption, like, I literally lost my mind growing up. It's just like I lost my mind. you know, um, so, and that's the effects of, you reap what you sow, you know. Um, and so when God first approached me, there were some things in which He wanted for my life, and but for my life, my biggest fear was for one thing was, I wanted to, really get married and have children. But my biggest fear, why I wouldn't want to get married or have children is because most of the relationships in that I've seen in the women with my family have either been unequally yoked, been in a divorce, or being a single mother, and that is not something that I wanted for my life. And so, I made a vow to God, hey, God, I'll give you my son if, you allow me to have children. But one thing I did not know how to do is allow someone in and allow them to love me, you know, or even, accept the fact of the term. Like, God was like, hey, I want to give you this for your life. And I'm like, I don't even want a normal lifestyle. Like, yeah, right. Like, to think about I never really wanted, and I used to run away. You feel what I'm saying? Because I didn't like living a normal life. I thought going to work every day and, doing what the world tells you is really boring. It's a boring life. I don't feel that it's really a life. It's just so boring, but that's what you do, that's what people do. And so, but I never wanted the American dream, because I saw that, it doesn't make you happy, and so there was so much, I know that it doesn't make you happy, I've I've seen it, I've seen what certain things do to people, and I'm like, why would I want something that doesn't make you happy, so, And for my life, I looked at relationships. I'm like, why would I want a relationship when it doesn't make you happy? But like, so like I would like, like I was like, why would I want anything when it doesn't make you happy? The only thing that makes you happy is Jesus. Like I couldn't wrap my finger around it because I had seen so much. Everything that I tried made me very sad, and or I watched other people try it and they end up in heartache and ruin. I never seen, it have a good ending, or it, it was very good, like healthy relationships, or healthy this or healthy that. It was like like broken family, broken relationships, abusiveness. Like it was everything bad, bad, bad. Why would I want anything if everything I've seen turns out bad? Like why? I used to say I don't even want to bring kids into the world because everything's so bad. Like it's like something bad, 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 bad. Like Naomi, call me Mata because the Lord has dealt with me bitterly. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the Lord, it was life. It was life dealt with me bitterly. And I can't, I came into the world. It's not even like I had a chance. It was just like, hey, here, you have a bad hand. And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about this morning is, so at my job, we do this thing called QC. I do mailing, and so first, what happens is, people bind the book, and then you have a catcher who catches and see if there's any issues. And then there is another person who cuts it, and then you have a catcher to see. And so then it got all the way to so here it went through 2 catchers, and then me, and I'm the one who found the issue. And I said to myself, you know what? I always get dealt the bad hand. I always get dealt the bad hand. Why does I always get dealt the bad hand? So I'm going through all these things, and I go up to my head boss, and she said, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm always coming up to you, to, tell you about the errors that I've caught and all this stuff. And she said, you know what? At least you caught them. At least the errors stopped with you. Because she said, you had 2 other catchers who should have caught the mistake before you. And so that reminded me of my life right now because, God one thing that God told me about is breaking the generational curses. I don't want to end up in divorce. I don't want to be a single mother. There's certain things that I want for my life, and those are the things in which I told God in the beginning of this journey. If you'll do what it is that you said you're going to do, these are certain things that, I want, for my life. I don't want to pass the trauma that I have on to my children because, I've seen what your trauma can do to other people in their lives. I've seen it, like I look at, one of my family members had like the struggle with eating, and, constantly like weight. And so, they picked on my weight growing up and I had an eating disorder. It screwed me up bad. It affected my life because they had an issue with their selves and then they affected my life, which passed on. It passes on, Now I think I'm beautiful. Now I don't care that I'm a big girl. Like I love every part of me. I love to eat. I'm sorry. From a period, I love being size 17. I don't care what my doctor says. Like, hey, I look good. I don't have to be like this. There's nothing wrong with people who, are small, but I don't have to be like this to be considered beautiful. So like the standards of the world, I've learned that I can be myself, that I don't have to be like everybody else, that's the whole point of it all. And so but the whole thing is that, people don't catch their errors, and so they pass it on to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, and then it just continues on until somebody catches it and stops it. And so I just thank God this morning because he was just showing me that, yeah, you were dealt a bad hand, but you know what? You are the one who caught that you got the bad hand and you dealt with it and you stopped it, and the issue stops with you. And I'm just thankful because that just, I thought about it in my life. I think about, people like Abraham. Abraham lied and said that Sarah was his sister. And then it got passed on to, Isaac. Isaac did the same thing with Rebecca. but it had to stop. It could no longer go on for generation and generation. At some point, that curse had to end. At some time, like if you have a, drug addiction, okay, stop your drug addiction, let it end with you so it doesn't carry on with your children. And, if you have alcoholism, stop it so it doesn't carry on with your children. If you have, issue with the eating disorder, figure out how to change it. If you have issue with your appearance, if you have, whatever issue it is that you're struggling, it needs to end with you, whether it is being equally yoked, having, like single mothers or, not having healthy relationships, having abusive families, abuse gets carried on, certain things get carried on. It has to end somewhere. Who is going to draw the line? You have to make sure that you are the one who draws the line. You're the one who says, you know what, it ends with me. Yes, in the beginning of life, I was drawn the bad hand, but I saw all the errors, and I said, you know what, this has to stop. This has to stop. And then someone has to see that what is going on is not right. It's not right. If you know that this is the error, that something is wrong, it has to end with you. You have to put your foot down. You have to make it stop. There's no way that you can continue on because, do you want other people? Like, I don't have children right now, but I love my children enough that I was not going to bring them into a world where I was messed up. There's no way. I was not going to let them suffer with my pain that I had to go through. There is no way. There's no way, because they would have had to watch me go through depression and this. It's like the children of Israel. They watched their, who the ones who were in the wilderness, they watched their parents go around in circles for years and years and years, struggling with the same issues over and over and over and over and over again. And they broke the chain. They got to go in to the promised land. But their parents never went into the promised land. They died going in a repeat cycle of going in a circle and going in a circle. The chain needs to stop. We need to get out of the wilderness and go over to the promised land. Break out of your bondage, break out of, the habit. You may not be in Egypt anymore, you may not be in the world anymore, but you still have carried on some bondage, and you're going in a circle. Break out of those habits. I had to learn this season of my life, okay, even though I'm saved now, I need to learn how to, when people are not listening to me, or when certain things are happening in my life, did not revert back to cutting. Or, how do I not get angry to a point where this ends up happening and I flip out, and how can I control my anger and, certain things in which, you struggle with, I want my kids to have a parent, two-parent home, I've never had a two-parent home, let alone having a mother, or a father. I had my grandmother. So I want a two-parent home. I don't want, anybody raising my kids but me, that's not something that I want. I want to be able to, and if I was sick and if I couldn't do those things, if I wasn't mentally strong enough, how would I have been able to do that? I wouldn't have been able to do that. I had to make sure that I was okay first. And, some people don't care enough, that they're going to affect the future generation, because they're like, oh, hey, I just want to go out there and do my thing, and, not understanding that they're affecting the future generation because they haven't got their life together. They just want to bring a child into the world, not knowing how they're going to affect their child's life because they don't got themselves together. And it affects people's lives. Hello, if people would have got their lives together with me, I probably would have not been so crazy like I was. But, even though people, say they love me, they didn't love me enough to get their stuff straight. They didn't, and, this is love, know love, and I believe that I know how to love now because I love my children enough to get my stuff straight before I brought any children in the world. Before I decided that I wanted to, get married. I don't want to keep carrying on from generation to generation, and that's love. That is love. And so I'm very excited because, so often I feel like, people make me feel like, oh, you're constantly doing something wrong, 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 wrong. And God, that's why I went up to her and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I keep bringing this up to you because I felt like, it was like my fault that this happened, but it wasn't my fault. It was previous people who should have caught the issue, but they never caught the issue and they kept passing it on and passing it on. So I'm so happy that that God was just like, Jazz, look, and I'm like, yay! So he's like, it's making me feel good because, like so often people will be like, oh yeah, she's so wrong, and no one ever says thank you when I do something, or no one ever like apologizes, when they were wrong. So like I feel so good for God to be like, hey Jazz, like look what you did. Like you broke generational curses that should have been caught a long time ago. But someone who people doubted, like, but it feels good to know that when you're hearing from God, that you're really hearing from God. And so yeah, that's my update for this month on following Jesus. I finished my book cover. Someone did my book cover for me. So I know I've been talking about this book for a long time, but all I have to do is buy an ISBN and copyright, and then it will be out. And what else? Oh yeah, I'm planning on moving. I'm so excited. So yeah, so I'm planning on moving, and so because of that, I just pray for me. Because I don't know where I'm gonna live apartment wise. I don't have any furniture because God told me to sell all my furniture when I first started my journey over a year and a half ago. So I have basically nothing. I'm just trusting in faith, believing God for what he's going to do. And so it's a very interesting, exciting journey. So yeah, keep me in your prayers. I love you guys so much, and hopefully I'm gonna have a contest soon because I reached my 200th video, and I'm gonna be doing two other lessons. I'm very excited. You know why? Because God gave them to me this morning. And so basically they're on basically help, and I'm also going to be talking about basically stop looking for, well, why you seeking the living among the dead. Stop looking for the dead situation when it's actually living. Woo woo. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited. God is so good, you guys. Yeah, so one thing I want to say that I've been talking about faith a lot lately is if you hear God calling you to follow him, no matter where it is, no matter what you have to give up, no matter what you have to leave, even if you have to look crazy and leave college like I had to do, like a crazy woman, if you hear God, it is not in vain, okay? Like, I am living proof, and I am the evidence that God will do what it is that he said he's going to do. No, not everything that he said he was going to do has come to pass, but I believe it is because basically everything he said he was going to do is already in the process and has already started. So I'm so excited. I talked about over a year ago moving to Florida, and that's I'm so close. I'm like this close, and I talked about my family being restored over a year ago. Hello, their restoration is all around me, and so I talked about getting my healing and God healing me. And I got healed, around my birthday, and that was one of my biggest prayers. And so, it's just so exciting seeing everything just come to light. And everybody thought I was crazy. At some point, somewhere I thought I was a little crazy too. But God is good and he's faithful. Just believe him and he will do what he said he's going to do. He is able. That song's been in my head all morning. He's able. Yes. I love you guys so much. Until we meet again, I'm going to bed because I've been up all night long. All right, guys. Love you guys. Peace.